Hello and welcome to another video from me, the History Tutor, and today we're going to be looking at conflict and tension in the build-up to the First World War, and we're going to be looking at the Moroccan crisis. In particular, we're going to focus on how to write a grade 9 answer for a write an account question. So here we are with our write an account question, and this question says, write an account of how the events in Morocco increased international tension before 1914. So what I'd like to do is, in your revision booklets, note down the success criteria for the question. So what do you think this question requires you to do? What are the skills you need to show in this answer? Look at the words in the question and write down what you think are the key skills. If you like, make yourself a little mark scheme for the answer. Right, so pause me and away you go. So I had enough time, and let's go through some ideas then. So what would make a good answer? Well, firstly, as with most of the 8 markers, 2 paragraphs would be really good. So 2 explained points are needed for an 8 marker question. Use your peel paragraphs. So if you've done other videos with me, you'll know that we talk about P and peel paragraphs. I'll show you how to do those in the video. Give evidence of the main examples. So, for example, the Agadir crisis. We need to know the events and talk about the main things that happened in the Moroccan crisis. And then it talks about how this increased international tension in the question. So we need to then explain the impact of these examples. How did they lead to international tension? You should try to think widely as well. So you've explained one idea, but then make a wider link. So your L and peelers link widely to an extra further idea. So maybe you're talking about the events after the crisis and then how that might have impacted more than one place, maybe impacted more widely. So let's start planning an answer then. So the success criteria suggested we need to have events and then how that increased tension. So let's think about 2 or 3 events in the Moroccan crisis. So using a revision guide, go through the Moroccan crisis again and see if you can find 2 or 3 important events and then start to think about their consequences. So I'm going to leave a pause again while you complete the activity. Okay, are you ready? Let's go through some events then. So, first event, the Kaiser wished to test the new Entente Cordiale between Britain and France. So one of his aims was to go there and cause a bit of confrontation between Britain and France to see if the Entente Cordiale could survive a colonial dispute. And obviously, the Kaiser did not want the Entente Cordiale because he wanted France to be weaker. So Germany objected to French claims to colonize Morocco, and the Kaiser supported the Sultan against France. So one of the events is, of course, that Germany is obviously against France in this dispute because they were trying to challenge the Entente. Then the Kaiser eventually challenged the French for control of Morocco in 1911. So we get the next event in the Moroccan crisis. So after an uprising, the Kaiser arrived in a battleship to support the Sultan. So we got the first Moroccan event and then the second Moroccan event, the 2 different events. So how does this increase tensions? Let's go through the ways in which this increases tension then. So firstly, the Kaiser wished to test the new Entente. So this obviously caused tension because Britain and France now started to be closer friends against Germany. You could widely link to the naval race developing as well. So Britain is looking for alliance partners. This causes Britain to abandon its splendid isolation even more. You could talk about it if you wanted to. So Germany objected to French claims to colonize Morocco, and the Kaiser supported the Sultan against France. So this causes obviously the Algeciras Conference, the first Moroccan crisis, and the French-British humiliated Germany as Germany only had Austria-Hungary supporting them. Everyone else was against them, including Italy, and this strengthened the Austro-Hungarian alliance and also strengthened divisions between France and Britain and Germany and Austro-Hungary. Then finally, we've got obviously the Agadir crisis in 1911. The Kaiser arrives in his battleship, threatening France and being more aggressive. So this led to France gaining control of Morocco in the agreement of Agadir. And the Kaiser was obviously humiliated here and had totally lost the argument. So he suggested that he was not going to back down again and or was unlikely to back down again. So potentially he's going to be more aggressive in the future, and there's going to be more problems in the future because of this. The Kaiser was not one to be humiliated. So we've got a plan then. So how do we write this? So we use our Peel paragraph. So one way that events in Morocco caused tension before 1914 was because of this, and we give a reason. Okay, we set out our argument. Okay, we really need to move away from that phrase "write an account." We really need to focus on that word and focus on it being explain. So if you've seen other videos I've made for other topics, you'll know that often I tell my students to cross out the words write an account and write the word explain. As an AQA marker and somebody who's very much involved in, you know, the assessment process of AQA, we're often told that you should think about explaining rather than writing an account. Okay, there is some narrative to this question, but it should mainly be an explained argument. Okay, so I'll talk about the narrative as we go through this writing frame. So we make our point about one way there's a problem. We then give an example. For example, this happened, give an event. This caused tension because. So go to your table. How did that cause tension? And then furthermore, this caused more tension because. So think about another country, another event it causes. I mentioned about how the obviously initial crisis might led to strengthened Franco-British alliance, but also then it strengthens Britain as well because of the naval race. They are really concerned about Germany. So as I was saying earlier about being more chronological, we can then obviously, after doing this paragraph, then go to another event in the line. So in this case, we can do the first Moroccan crisis and then its consequences, and the second Morocco crisis and its consequences. So we are being a little bit narrative. We are sort of telling a story in order, and that's how you can show some narrative. And of course, the example is followed by the consequence, which again is like a narrative. Okay. So let's give this a go to see if we can write an answer. So what I do is think about your first sentence. Okay, you're going to write for your first sentence? What's going to be your point? You've got your revision guides there. So start writing your answer. How are you going to finish that first sentence? Then I'll show you my idea. Okay, have you paused? Have you written your idea? So here we go. So here is my idea. So one way that events in Morocco caused tension before 1914 was because the events humiliated and isolated the alliance and made aggressive actions in Germany more likely. Okay, so Germany has been isolated and is going to be more aggressive. For example, okay, so let's think about the first crisis then. So, and your first event. So what examples might support that Germany is more isolated? What happens in the first meetings in the first event? Okay, so pause, write down your example. Okay, and I'll show you my example. Okay, so away we go then. Here's what I've written. So, for example, in 1906, the Kaiser Wilhelm challenged the French claim to colonize Morocco, but German claims were defeated at the Algeciras conference. Okay, so you may have written a different example, but the main thing is you need to try and have some knowledge in there. I have 1906, the date. I've named people. I've written the words Algeciras conference. I have shown that I know some things. Okay, I know the event. I can describe it. Maybe you forget the name of the conference in the exam. Okay, but let's try and just describe what we mean. You still can get a lot of marks, even if you've maybe forgotten a keyword. So try and describe what you mean, even if it's just saying they had a meeting. So let's explain. So this caused tension because. So now we need to show our understanding. We need to explain the consequences and impact of this. So what would you explain as the impact of this? Look to your table plan and try and get an explanation. Okay, away you go. All right, so you've got an idea. Here's what I've written. Again, assess your answer. Is it well explained like this? So this caused international tension because Germans only had the support of the Austro-Hungarians at the conference and their claims had been humiliated. This meant the Kaiser might seek revenge against the French and British in the future. So a nice simple explanation about Germany being isolated. We could do a furthermore here. We could step a little bit further into time or look at other events or other people. Okay, so pause and see if you can think of another way in which these early events are causing problems. Okay, got an answer? So here's mine. So furthermore, events in Morocco led to more tension in 1911 when the Kaiser sought revenge at the Agadir crisis. He arrived in a battleship called the Panther to demand French soldiers to leave Morocco as he supported the Sultan. This led to increased tension as Germany was defeated in negotiations and the dual alliance was left isolated. They strengthened your alliance, and the Kaiser made it clear that he would not be embarrassed again, meaning future problems were more likely to lead to war. Okay, so I've sort of linked to the next event. So you might be thinking, well, what can I do in my next paragraph? Okay, so obviously there are other things in the plan. You could talk about how the whole set of events made the British and French stronger as a different argument, and talk about the events and how they make the British and French stronger in their alliance, how the naval race is involved, how they start to do military maneuvers together, make military plans, how Britain feels vulnerable, so they start to make alliances with Russia. So you could start to tie in lots of other things to do the other side of the coin, which would be Britain and France in the international tension arena. Okay, well, I hope you found that a good recap of the Moroccan crisis and how to write the write an account question. So over to you then in your revision guides. See if you can give the second paragraph a go. I've given you some ideas. There's a writing frame in there, so have a go. And good luck with that. And do look out for more videos in a revision guide or more videos on my YouTube channel. Yeah, see you again. Bye bye for now.